Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives. And this week's episode, I'll call it Thursday Thoughts because I pulled the card for this episode on Thursday, even though I'm publishing this episode on Saturday. But the card, and I love doing this, I love my Energy Oracle card deck because I use it a lot to get in touch with my intuition, especially for the podcast when I'm thinking, I don't really have an idea to talk about. It always gives me something to talk about. So this past week, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. So let me pull a card. So I pulled a card and it came to me immediately. And that's what usually happens. It comes to you immediately when you pull it. What I always do before I pull the card is I ask a question. And it's not a yes, no question. It's an open-ended question. It's usually like, what do I need to focus on today if I'm pulling the card for myself? But when I'm pulling it for an episode, I say, what do my listeners need to hear? What can I help them with? Something to that effect. So the card I pulled was Door to a Value. And you don't always know when you pull the card by just that short description what the guidebook about the card is actually going to say. So I, of course, went to it and I was like, OMG, this is going to be great because I knew exactly what I was going to talk about. So let me read to you the card pull description from the book. Door to Value, New Beginnings in Finance or Career. This card shows a door with a gold coin on it, opening to a place that's filled with light and bright potential. Money, coins, and jewels fly towards you through the open door, revealing a golden city beyond. All of this points to the potential for exciting new beginnings or expansions where work or money are concerned. Perhaps a new opportunity is totally unexpected, or perhaps it's something you've been working toward for quite a while. Either way, keep your eyes open for this new beginning to appear in your life. Know that anything you value may be open to you now. Remain conscious and creative and get ready to step through the door. And I was so excited when I got this because it was just confirmation that I'm in the right place and moving forward with what I love, moving forward with true belief and conviction that I'm here working on my purpose, that I found what I'm here to do. Because this past month, October, has been my best month in my business. And it also happens to be 1 year ago to the week, October 27th was the day I sent in my letter of resignation to my boss for my corporate six-figure job without any real evidence that I was going to replace that income, without any real security blanket of, I'll replace this income in X amount of time. The only thing that I had was a knowing that I was doing what I loved, and a knowing based on what I've learned and read and been such a student of the past 2 years, that the universe would take care of me if I was moving with full authenticity and alignment in my soul's purpose. And I felt that. I felt that. And the other thing that I felt, because when I was going through this decision, it was a very, very difficult decision. And it was probably one that I'd thought about a lot for a few months, but I hadn't really thought seriously about until like 3 days prior, because I was at a conference and it came up in my thoughts, and it was just felt like this was the time. This was the time. I don't want to waste any more time. I'm 60 years old last year. I'm going to be 61 soon. I don't want to friggin' waste any more time. It is time to cut the cord on that friggin' corporate job that I don't love anymore, that's draining me, that is taking me away from alignment of my soul's purpose. Why should I keep doing that? I know this to be true, yet I'm still following and doing this thing in misalignment, knowing what I know now. It's crazy. So in the end, even though I had all this fear that was blocking me from doing that, I knew what I had to do. And so I made the decision to quit. And I just decided the net would be there to catch me. So why not trust it? Why not trust it? I knew, I've read these books. I know it will work itself out, but there's this fear because that's what we do. We let the ego scare us out of things that we're meant to do. And I'm just like, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting. I'm not going to waste any more time. It's now or never. Pulling the plug, and hopefully I'll still keep breathing. And so that's what I did. And so this card was so appropriate. And I thought, I'm just going to tell and share kind of what was going through my mind last year and where I've come in the past year. And I thought of 3 things that I wanted to share based on kind of just using my intuition and following it. So the first thing is, oh, and by the way, I had my 2020 goals sitting on my desk right before I pulled this card. And I was looking at them and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything that I thought I was going to do at the beginning of the year. So I also thought that was interesting because I used my intuition to create those goals because at the moment, that's what I was feeling. I was feeling that was the right thing to do. But since then, they've completely changed. So everything says you need to stick to your goals, but your goals are temporary. I feel is you have goals, but then as you work on those goals, as you take intentional action towards those goals, you gain clarity. And then you shift because you have this new clarity. And then you're like, okay, well, this is what I'm hearing now. So let me change them. And it's not that I didn't hit, you can say I didn't hit my goals. I didn't hit my goals and dwell on that. Or you can say I progressed. I made a lot of progress because I worked towards those goals and then I created new goals from those because of the lessons I learned. So my whole mindset completely shifts. In the old days, it was like, gotta hit that goal, gotta hit that goal. Even it was like painful and like it was killing you by the time because I was never in touch with like in my intuition and what my intuition was guiding me towards. And so instead, it's like I'm listening and changing and shifting as I gain clarity. So, so I'm following my purpose, but I'm not doing it based on logic anymore. I'm doing it based on what feels right. And that is the big game changer for me and with full belief. So and just for those of you who maybe you're listening to me for the first time, this is something that I haven't done my whole life. It's just been a huge block for me. Totally suppressed any gut stuff or any feelings of, oh, I should do that. But then, no, that doesn't make sense. That was how I operated. So it's been a real journey for me. And I think that's why I feel so passionate about sharing my experience, because when I hear people who are like 50, 55, and they're like, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. And I just don't know how to find it. I'm like, well, you need to not give up on it. You need to start, like, read everything, find it, and never give up on it. Keep working on it. That should be your number one priority, to find it, right? Because we want to live from purpose, because it changes the world. So, but the 3 things I would say that were the big lessons I learned this past year, as I was really focused on tapping into my intuition, uh, which was idea prompted by this door to value card. Number 1, trust the process. Trust the process of the 12 universal laws, and that you will be taken care of. If you follow your heart and you step into that which you know to be true based on tapping into your subconscious, your higher self, do it with full faith and conviction that it will all be okay. It is done, right? Whatever you desire is yours. It's your destiny. Whatever you desire is your destiny. And if you take intentional action toward that which you feel is your purpose, once you figure that out, it will take care of itself. You don't have to worry about it. It will, if you go forward with providing value and wanting to make the world a better place in whatever way you see that that's your place to do. And oftentimes I tell people, look at your past. What have you learned? You know, I have people say, I don't know anything. I'm 50, 60 years old and I don't know anything. You do know a ton. You're just not tapping into that which is there. You're suppressing it because you're afraid. You think, you know, we all do that to ourselves. Think, I don't know enough. Especially high achievers, especially people who feel they're meant for more and they just don't know where to start. So we always second guess ourselves. We always think we have less to provide or deliver, or less to contribute than somebody else. We're comparisonitis. We do that. That's just what we do. That's human nature. But if you get in touch with what is coming up for you and you forget about everybody else, you just like get in there, through quiet time, through meditation. But once you start listening, once you start getting quiet and listening, it comes up, and you have to believe and have faith and trust the process that will all unfold for you, no matter what, as long as you put the right thoughts out there, because the universe is listening. The universe is always listening to what you think. So if you have doubt and if you're scared and you're not believing, the universe will pick up on that and give you more of that which you think. So it's definitely a process by which you first need to learn how to tap into that, and secondly, you need to learn how to create those positive and supporting thoughts, because a lot of us have these like limiting thoughts. So the first thing that I had to do was, because what happened to me is I really wanted and knew that I I had a purpose. I was already working on my purpose. And I really believed that the universe would take care of me because I've been reading about it and I've been studying it. But what I realized is, by not stepping into, not quitting my job, by not quitting my job and not stepping into that which I believed, by quitting my job and going all in on it, that was telling the universe I didn't believe, right? That was telling the universe, well, I have this plan B. If you have a plan B, that's telling the universe that you doubt your plan A. And so that really struck me as, okay, if I'm saying I really believe that the universe will take care of me and I believe that this is my purpose, why would I continue to work at a job that was draining me and I hated going to? That didn't make sense. So I thought if I didn't quit my job, then that would have ramifications. And I'm not suggesting you quit your job. I had been working on my business for, well, if you want to count when I was coaching at using Beachbody, the auspices of Beachbody, because that was when I started coaching and feeling lit up and feeling like that was what I was meant to do as coach. If you include that, it's been 6 years. But if you just talk about me going off on my own and branching out outside of Beachbody, I was there. I was doing it. I was on my way. So even though I didn't have that financial means to completely replace that six-figure income, and most would see it as a huge risk, I felt like, to me, it became more of a risk to not do it, because I saw what the outcome of hesitation and staying where I was by holding on to that income. That was basically sending a message to the universe that I really don't believe. And it was also going to delay. It was going to delay how I could help people. It was going to delay, and who knows how much delay it would take, how much sidetracking it would take. And who knows where I'd be. Too old maybe to have energy to do it. I don't want that. This thing that I do gives me energy. It's like a shot of adrenaline every day when I wake up. So why would I not want that every day in my life? Then this draining, like almost a hypodermic needle taking energy out of me every day. So how about that visual? So first of all, just trust the process. If it's coming up for you, your intuition is saying this is what you need to do, really, really listen to it and meditate on it. Really think on it as to what the pros and cons, and get rid of the logical mind, because honestly, saying pros and cons is what I did before. So, but I did weigh, and what was a real pro for me. So you can say maybe a little logical mind was in that, but what really weighed on me was that I knew what my gut was telling me, and that was a very big factor. So I knew what my gut was telling me. I was listening to my gut, and I was also weighing, okay, is this fear? And fear is just the ego. So yeah, so I did do a little thing where I was like, yep, I know this is going to be okay. This is going to be okay. Because honestly, our human brain comes into it no matter what we try to get rid of it, especially after years and years of that conditioning. So anyways, I think I'm in the space of trusting the process now, and so yeah, you get rewarded when that happens. And then always be aware of your feelings, because like I said, I had a lot of fear around it. And so part of me was like, well, if I'm afraid of it, that must be my ego. That's my humanness. And that's just because it's really outside of my comfort zone, because I'm going somewhere. I'm venturing out of the security blanket, this box that I'm in with my corporate job. It's all I've known for so many years, of that safety net, right? And it was just kind of like throwing that all away. And that is definitely a step outside the box. It's definitely a step outside the comfort zone, because you don't know what's in store, right? You don't know where that money is going to come from. You don't know where what it's going to be like in 6 months, what's going to be like in a year. When you're in a corporate job, okay, every January I get a bonus, and every month I get these paychecks, and I get my health insurance. All that's taken care of. You don't really, that's inside the box. That's all a known. That's all from past experience. You're venturing into this total new frontier where there's many unknowns. So, but if you feel good about it, if you feel like I knew when I was checking in on my feelings, that although I was scared of venturing outside my comfort zone, the other feelings that came in were, oh my gosh, how amazing it will be Sunday night to not have to dread to go in on Monday morning. How amazing it will feel to not have to travel to California every 2 weeks, because that's what's going to be a part of I was changing roles when I was at this turning point where I was changing roles within the company, because we had been acquired by a different company. So it was a perfect opportunity for me to go, I'm done. But yeah, so there's so much goodness that I was feeling if I did cut the cord. So I knew the fear was just related to it. It wasn't coming from my soul. The fear wasn't coming from my soul. It was coming from the ego. And then third, the other thing was my 2020 goals never panned out. The ones that I started with, and I've completely changed. And so what lesson that is for me to share with you is that just because you have a plan doesn't mean you have to stick to it. In fact, I veer a lot on my plans, because I'm following my intuition. I'm following my gut. And everything that I do, when I set a goal, and I usually achieve it, because I set in 90-day increments. And so I usually achieve my goal. And although maybe it's not a revenue goal that I've achieved, but it's a task, a project. It's a project that I've said, I'm going to do this project and I'm going to finish it. And I usually finish my projects, and they might not have brought me the revenue that I desired. So then what that tells me is, well, this maybe isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. What did I learn from this? What should I be doing differently? So then I would create a different set of goals the next 90 days. And so what it taught me is that if you keep adjusting towards alignment, because the original goal, and when I look at my 2020 goals and I look at the original ones I set, I'm like, bleh, I would not be happy doing those things. So I had a membership that I shut down. So my intent was to grow my membership. In January and February, I had projects and workshops and webinars related to growing my membership. But I wasn't feeling it with my membership. And so it taught me a lesson. It taught me that, okay, tap in to your inner self. What is it then? And it's funny too, because I went back to the original thing that I started with when I first started on my own with the original program. Now, granted, it's changed because when I first created that program, there were a lot of things there's a lot of books I've read since. I got certified as a master neuro coach since. So there's a lot of things that, it wasn't like I didn't do anything or learn anything in that year and a half. And so what that also tells you is, if you're listening to this and you're in your 50s and you think you don't know anything, you have a lot to learn yet. You can every day learn something new that's of value to somebody else. And so what I did is I went back to the heart of what my original intuition was from day one that I veered away from. And I feel that all the things that I've done in that meantime, in that 18 months, were all great lessons. No failures whatsoever, all great lessons, stepping stones to getting more clarity, getting more clear on what I'm here to do. And so I really feel like this past month, as it's my most successful month, it's because I am in a full alignment. And I've learned so much of the things that I've read about the universe, really rewarding you for being aligned, for living your true purpose. When you do that, and you do that with full faith that it will all work out, and you have the supportive mindset, because it is a work to get your mind around that trust. And we all have doubts that set in. It's a constant battle with these doubts and this lack mindset, like, oh my gosh, where's the next paycheck coming from? You don't have that when you have a corporate job. You might have a little fear around getting laid off, but usually when you get laid off, it's like a blind side. You don't even know it. So you usually don't ever sit in that lack. But when you're an entrepreneur, you've got to fight that lack mindset. And you got to know that it will be taken care of as long as you are following your heart and trusting the process, that you have this true belief and faith that it is done, because your soul is all knowing. Your soul is all knowing. So if you think you don't know, all that means is that you just aren't in touch with that. You need to open that doorway. You need to get that line of communication going and learn how to do that. And then the world is your oyster, because you can have whatever you want. It's just, the universe is abundant. It's naturally abundant. And that's what I've learned. When you operate from that which you feel joyous doing, then it's just magic. It's magic. And you get rewarded for that in many ways. It's not just financial. Yeah. The people around you, they get rewarded by you living from that state as well. So this was my door to value download. Just the fact that I'm exactly where I was supposed to be. I jumped and the net caught me, and I have full faith that I'm going to continue to operate from what my soul's desires are, and only magic will continue to happen. And I am loving it. I'm loving it. I have no regrets that I walked away that day, and I can't believe it's been a year. But then again, I think, oh my gosh, I've come a long way in a year. I feel so much more at peace. And that's really a great thing now that I understand the mind a little bit better, why it does the things it does. So hopefully this has helped you and given you a little bit of insight into getting in touch with your soul. I would love to see you do that. Everybody deserves to do that, because your soul is an amazing, amazing thing, and it will help you. So tap into it and see what it's trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you what's there for you. So just start listening and start acting with intention on that. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraveragegrandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own, not your average life.